The Star Wars franchise has been in absolute terrible hands for a long time now, as we know. Everything has just plummeted in this universe, and pretty much anything that has been released Star Wars related in recent times. That being said, The Mandalorian was the one glimmer of hope, at least for me, that, okay, some good stuff can come out of the Star Wars universe, at least the first 2 seasons, which I quite enjoyed. But then after the whole Gina Carano firing, all of that, and Disney Star Wars just getting even more insufferable, Book of Boba Fett, Andor, I was just checked out. And I didn't think I'd be watching The Mandalorian Season 3, which I have not. And this new clip has just validated my decision not to watch it even more. Now, if you have not seen this already, I'm really sorry that this is how you have to see it on my channel. But let's just do this. Oh, yikes. Lizzo. Because, of course, they gotta add her to all the woke stuff. And Jack Black, it makes me so sad because I love Jack Black, but not even Jack Black can save this monstrosity. Let's go ahead and just roll the clip.
Despicable. If that isn't a quactor calling the stifling slimy.
I beg your pardon.
This planet is unrecognizable since he arrived.
I had a feeling you hated me.
I'm disappointed in you, Commissioner. You served my family well.
I don't know if I can show this full clip and not get copyright stuff, but that did y'all really need to see more? It's just making a complete mockery out of Star Wars and everything. I think it's the costume designs, everything. This whole thing just does not fit. This looks like a parody. This looks like Saturday Night Live got a hold of Lizzo and Jack Black to do a Mandalorian parody and joke about it. Not to mention Jumping Grogu. I've been hearing everybody talk about Jumping Grogu. I haven't even seen whatever monstrosity that is, but just the description makes me laugh so much when I hear it. People are like, dude, I checked out after Jumping Grogu. Oh, man. But anyway, this was just, that was really something. But yeah, so this episode also, according to Bounding into Comics here, says the Mandalorian episode featuring Lizzo and Jack Black is the worst rated episode of the entire series. I mean, I'm not surprised, but anyway, let's continue. The latest season of The Mandalorian is not only seeing viewers tune out of the show en masse, but viewers who do happen to continue the slog through each episode are giving the series some of its worst ratings yet, with the most recent episode featuring Lizzo and Jack Black currently holding the crown for the worst reviewed episode. Which I already made a video about how I tuned out and how I checked out. It was the Gina Carano thing primarily, but just also everything else. I think there's a million reasons why one would want to be checked out of Mandalorian right now. The Mandalorian Chapter 22, Guns for Hire, currently has a mediocre 6.8 audience score on IMDb. Not only is this score the worst of this season, it is the worst rating for the entire series. That's pretty terrible. 5,800 reviews as well. And this whole, oh, it got review bombed. It got review. Don't even. All right. In the latest episode, Unseated, Chapter 19, The Convert, that was previously the lowest rated episode with a 7.1 rating on IMDb. You know, if this was a review bomb scenario, it would have plummeted even worse. But, I mean, you can't defend this. I don't care who you are. How are you going to defend that? The Season 3 premiere, Chapter 17, The Apostate, was previously tied with Chapter 5, The Gunslinger, for the worst rated episode with 7.5. So as you can see, there's a common pattern here. Season 3, worst episode, tied with worst episode. Like, all the lowest reviews for episodes are on Season 3. This just seems like an absolute nightmare. With just 6 episodes released so far in the current season, 3 of them are the worst reviewed of the entire series. Chapter 20, The Foundling, also received a subpar 7.8 score, which is the 6th worst rated episode in the entire series, with Chapter 4, Sanctuary, slipping between it and The Gunslinger. Season 2's Chapter 10, The Passenger, also received a 7.8. It's not just users on IMDb giving The Mandalorian its worst reviews ever. On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score slipped from Season 1 posting an audience score of 92% and Season 2 receiving an audience score of 91%, which I think is fair. I know a lot of people didn't like them as much. I loved the first 2 seasons, not even gonna lie. I thought they were great. In contrast, Season 3 has an abysmal 65% audience score. There is nothing encouraging me to watch this. Even beyond just the Gina Carano situation, which I made a video about that, talked about that, the viewership has already seemingly plummeted. And a lot of people are checked out for a bunch of different reasons. But even if, I feel like as bad as the Gina Carano thing is, if the show was just fantabulous, despite that, I would still consider it, because even Gina Carano herself has told people that she didn't ask for them not to watch, because she still knows people who are part of the show and who were great people, and she wanted to support them. And also, she's just very humble and sweet person in general. But yeah, it just, I just can think of a million billion things I'd rather do with my time than to watch this seemingly trash season. So things have really just gone down the crapper with this show. As mentioned above, these declining user scores on both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes coincide with a drop in people actually watching the show as well. Nielsen recently reported during the week of Season 3 premiere, the entire series only pulled 823 million minutes. In contrast, the week of Season 2 premiere, Nielsen reported the series raked in 1.030 billion minutes viewed. That is definitely quite a drop off. And I think too, with the start of Season 3, people weren't expecting this crap. They weren't expecting this. They weren't expecting the jumping Grogu thing and whatever. It seems like Bo-Katan is like the leader now, and Din Djarin is just there with no purpose, even though he was like the main selling point and like the hero, dude, or he was the main character. And so now all of a sudden, okay, pulling an MCU here, the bait and switch. Okay, now he's just going to be relegated to, you know, despite his face being on there and despite his, then the title being about him and people watching for him more than anything. And, you know, yeah, just to get upstaged. So this kind of stuff has constantly been happening. It just does not appeal to me whatsoever. And you think about what made the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian so good, and I think really the first episode of Season 1 was just very impactful. It like really grabbed my interest intensely. And I think a lot of that is just, it has to do with the fact of like, think about like the cinematography was gorgeous. And then I think the big cool thing about it is it felt like, and I even tweeted this when I first watched it, I was like, this feels like a Star Wars Western. And it was just so, I couldn't quite wrap my head around it, but it was like, wow, this is like a Western, a bounty hunter Western, but in the Star Wars universe. How cool is that? And it had this really awesome appeal for that reason. And so to see it turn from that to this, what has happened? I don't know what's happened to entertainment in general, but come on. Hollywood is creatively bankrupt in a lot of ways, but whenever they do come up with something cool, why do they ruin it? I don't understand. I just don't get it. You had something cool, man. You actually, modern, relatively recent times, there's a TV show that's good and that's entertaining, and that isn't just plagued with woke ideology and the message and all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow, look at that. That's what it looked like we were getting, but the old bait and switch once again. And before you know it, you're watching Lizzo and Jack Black and Jumping Grogu. Oh man, this is absurd. But anyway, I expect the viewership must plummet even more after this episode. I just don't see how many people are going to want to still continue to watch it. But that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I will catch you next time. And in the meantime, go boom.